What's up guys? We are really ramping up on the iPhone 8 leaks. In the last couple of weeks, a numerous amount of components have leaked, a bunch of new features found in the code, and there's a ton I'd love to talk to you guys about in this video. So let's get into all of that, and before I get into the component leaks, I wanted to mention a little recap. Bloomberg actually posted this diagram to give us a good idea of what's coming on the iPhone 8, because all of the rumors, leaks we've been talking about, it's really muddled the waters. It's hard to get a clear idea. This gives the best summary of what the iPhone 8 will bring in just under a month. That is crazy. It's pretty much here. The iPhone 8 will not be the newest to adopt most of these features, but it certainly will be the best. Apple takes their time with their features. Apple takes time to research it, make sure it's a viable thing to put into their iPhones, and then they'll finally do it. And that's what I love about them. They're not the newest, they're not the fastest to implement this stuff, but it certainly is the best. In a nutshell, you've got the OLED screen, an all new design, glass front and back, stainless steel edges, reconfigured cameras, smart camera with the 3D facial recognition with infrared sensors to help along with that, inductive wireless charging, a longer power button, unknown reasons why, slimmer bezels, tap to wake feature from Android phones, a virtual home button, faster processor, and iOS 11. So there is what we're looking at with the iPhone 8. And I just wanted to say a special thank you to Apple iDesigner for providing those concepts, and I'm going to be doing the giveaway I've promised at the end of this video. Good luck. So with all of the new security measures that Apple has implemented at their factories to keep this guy from leaking into the sight of your eyes via many news and leak websites, there have been a numerous amount of parts that have leaked just this week. I'm like, what the heck, how? I've never seen so many leak in such a short amount of time. So anyways, first one that we're going to be talking about is this 3D sensing camera from the front of the phone. There's really not much it tells us. It's just a little tiny camera, but this is supposed to be the crown jewel of the iPhone 8 features wise. This thing will be able to model your face. It's going to be replacing Touch ID supposedly, and here it is in the flesh. So next up is from a Weibo leaker, a number of different components from the iPhone 8. There's a flex cable there, which doesn't tell us much. There's a lightning charging port, again doesn't tell us much other than the fact that it is different from the current iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. Then we get into the juicy stuff, the actual display. So the front layer of glass, which we saw in last week's video, did leak again, but beneath it, the actual organic LED panel. And check it out. Check out those curved corners. So that is an organic LED display, 100%, because you cannot do that with an LCD, curve those corners. On the back, you do have those connectors on the very bottom there. And in a size comparison with the iPhone 7, you can see it is going to be a little bit taller, just about the same width there. They also provided a picture of the various bolts that are going to be making their way into the iPhone 8. Thanks, I guess. I mean, these could be for really anything, but overall, this leak does seem very genuine. And from the same leaker, a blurry image of the Apple A11 chip. This is supposedly going to be created only by TSMC with no partnership with Samsung on this one. Going to be a legendary processor, Apple's second 10nm chip, and here it is in the flesh. Really nothing else to say about that. And also posted by a known Twitter leaker, here's the wireless charging pad for the iPhone 8. And I honestly believe that this might be genuine. It's shaped in a rounded shape, which would go along with the design language of the iPhone 8, the overall menus and everything we know about it, the curved edges of the screens. It would work well. Not to mention that the silicon is actually black on this one. In the earlier version, the earlier iPhone 8 wireless charging pad leak, it was all green. It definitely was fake. This certainly can be genuine, although it doesn't have any labeling to indicate it is from Apple. And here's a video of a quality control check on the iPhone 8. Supposedly, there is a fingerprint sensor on the back, and they have to manually check that it scans your finger, and it might even be in the Apple logo, as pointed out by some people. Is it fake? Almost 100%, but why would somebody go through the trouble of faking it and making a video like this? Not really sure why, but that's a design that was already dismissed as not going to happen, yet here it is again being scanned, and there's another picture to accompany that of it being packaged as well. Don't know why this thing is still here, but it is almost 100% fake. And there have been a couple of videos leaked of the actual production line of the iPhone 8 being assembled. There's certainly no reason for a video like this to be made and to be fake, so I definitely think it has some genuine aspects to it. First off, the blurry cam image. It's very hard to discern what's going on, but we can see that there are iPhones spinning, being polished with a vertical camera onto the rear. So that's a good one. There's another one of them hanging on a rack, possibly some sort of anodization drying process, who knows, but they are very similar in design to what we've seen and heard in leaks already. But this one is actually really cool. Discovered by the same guy who found all the features in the HomePod firmware, Rambo actually found new videos hidden within an iOS beta prototype that could depict some sort of gestures we would get on the iPhone 8. Now, the first one is from the lock screen. A swipe right equals access to the control center. Certainly a way to alleviate the pain of having no home button. A very cool gesture there. And the other one is actually on the home screen. A swipe up on the display would actually access the app switcher, which is super cool. And if you actually look closer in one of the panes, there is a control center layout in there. So a home buttonless iPhone already exists to Apple, the gestures for it, and I think we definitely will get a tuned version of iOS 11 to make up for the lack of home button. And while we're on the topic of navigation and gesture control of the iPhone 8, how it would work without a home button, here's an actual personal prediction from a developer that I thought makes perfect sense. The iPhone and iPad OS is going to be very similar with the iPhone 8 and having no home button. If you really think about it, the iPad right now on iOS 11 can be used without a home button perfectly. So that's what this developer said, and he built a concept for the iPhone 8 around it. First off, the iPhone 8, he says, might have dock control. It would certainly make sense. You'd be able to swipe up from the bottom and access a little dock there with on the right a recent app if you so choose. Now, if you swipe further up, you'll get access to the app switcher as well as a control center combined state, just like on the iPad. And it makes perfect sense because without a home button, these sort of gestures totally make sense. Now, you would actually click on the bottom into the empty space to close the app switcher state as you do right now on iOS 11. You literally, in the app switcher, you press anywhere else and it will close the app switcher. So that totally makes sense. And then he says when you open up an application, it'll actually have a dock that will shrink and give you the full screen effect for your app. Really cool, but it doesn't explain how you would leave the app. So maybe you would swipe up to access the home button. I don't see Apple really doing that. They want something very intuitive. I think, honestly, they'll have a touch bar on the bottom that'll just stay there permanently for you to access a home button to go home. Either way, this is a beautiful concept. Totally makes sense, a solution for the lack of a physical home button. Now, the same developer found within an iOS 11 beta in the hidden Springboard private preferences menu, it's a mouthful, he found a new feature for the iPhone 8, Enable Attention Sensor. Now, he predicts that this will be a feature that will activate the display of your iPhone 8 when you look at it and quickly kill it when your attention goes somewhere else. So this would, in a way, save power, but at the same time drain it faster because it's always searching for your eye contact. Either way, it'd be cool, and he actually predicts that there will be very little difference between the cover sheet and lock screen because the instant response with scanning your face is going to be that quick. And in a very similar report, the Korea Herald actually just published a report where they predict that the feature, the Pearl ID, the Face ID, facial scanning system, will work within a millionth of a second. That's crazy. That will be faster than Touch ID. If that is true, there will be no quirks about this replacing Touch ID. But I'm sure there will be some negatives, but the speed factor is certainly going to be there. Bloomberg actually published a report piggybacking off of that one saying that the Face ID unlock feature will be the crown jewel of the iPhone 8, one of its biggest selling factors. Now, in collaboration with Notice, a case manufacturer, more high-quality renders have been published with Gordon Kelly of Forbes, who actually detailed a report from Notice based on these renders. He said that this company is so confident in the design of the iPhone 8 that they built their entire lineup of iPhone 8 cases as a result. They also confirmed several features. For one, they said that the top sensor bar will probably be hidden within iOS 11. And in the concept that they provided, as you can see, it is, and it's still a very clean look. We explored these possibilities in an earlier video of mine. Also, Notice does believe that Touch ID will be killed off entirely on the iPhone 8. And as if it wasn't confusing enough whether or not Touch ID will happen on the iPhone 8, Rambo actually found more code embedded within the HomePod that details for the SOS feature to work on the iPhone 8, you'll need to press the power button and a volume button at the same time. Now, his possible explanation for this is that Touch ID might be embedded in the actual power button to make this feature possible. And straight off of that prediction, I'm going to another analyst from Rosenblatt Securities who believes Touch ID will not happen due to low yield rates, and he said this quote about it. And the website giga.de has obtained schematics of the upcoming iPhone 8, and it's reportedly going to be getting thicker, wider, and taller, all except for the camera lens, which will be shrinking by 0.26 millimeters, which isn't really anything notable, but it's probably all because of the glass design. This definitely does mean that cases from the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus will not fit the 7S, or if they do, it won't be very comfortable. And this is all good for Apple, of course, more sales for their cases personally, and for every other case manufacturer. And here are some CAD images obtained by Techno Buffalo of the iPhone 7S and 7S Plus as well. Now, I already showed you guys these in an earlier video. As you know, they look pretty dang similar, really nothing notable to say here. This one's actually kind of funny. So McDonald's, in an ad they sent out via email to their customers, shows the iPhone 8 with an iOS 10 screenshot, as you can tell by the signal dot bars up in the top left. And they took this from Vanilla Gasket. So I'm not really sure what this is all about. Maybe it's a marketing thing. Maybe they really did not know what they were doing. But I just thought that was really funny. And also the naming, as if it wasn't confusing enough whether it'll be iPhone Pro, iPhone Edition, or iPhone X. Now there's a new one to throw into the mix. So a Reddit user found that Apple actually registered a new subdomain of apple.com. It's called reserve-prime.apple.com, which could lead to the belief that the iPhone will be called iPhone Prime. I don't think that's likely. I just think that's a terrible name. People will be confusing it with Amazon Prime, Maximus Prime. Like, no, it just doesn't work. I think iPhone Pro or iPhone Edition would be much, much better suited. Oh, and not to mention that iSlate.com was reserved just before the iPad was released, the original one, and that name never came to be. And in a report just published by Ming Chi Kuo, Apple is apparently 2 years ahead of the leading competition when it comes to their 3D and facial recognition system. The Samsung Galaxy S8 doesn't even compare right now. The leading competitor that's even trying to do what Apple is doing, which is Qualcomm, is still 2 years behind, he says. Also, they're limited by design and thermal issues, so they're kind of in a state where they're going to wait and see what Apple does, how Apple does it, before they actually try and reproduce it correctly. And in a little summary from Vanilla Gaskin, here's what we will see next month from Apple at the keynote. Of course, the iPhone 8, iPhone X, he calls it, the iPhone 7s and 7s Plus, the Apple Watch Series 3, iOS 11, macOS, of course, the new version, and possibly a new 4K and HDR-enabled Apple TV. Really exciting lineup, guys. I'm so looking forward to it. Anyways, that's just about it for the iPhone 8 and the recent leaks and rumors and all that. So let's go ahead and get to the giveaway. All right, guys, this is the moment you've been waiting for. iPhone 7 giveaway, 128 gigabytes. Let me kiss this mouse for good luck. Mwah. All right, here we go. Pick a random comment. And the winner is Mason Freeman, huh? Indeed, my friend. So, all right, I will be contacting you for this. Thanks for participating, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.